What's popping, y'all? It looks like painting his nails is not the only thing Yachty adopted from the opposite gender, because he's deciding to go full-on petty as well with none other than Karrahboo, who was, I wouldn't say the star just musically, because Draft Day is up there with the music in that crew, and he's quite known as well. But for personal, just for branding purposes, Karrahboo was a fan favorite. And one of the questions that I've had, which I will still have towards the end of this video, and I'll explain that, is why she hasn't released any music. And Yachty was talking about dropping her. So she goes on to tweet and says, "We are now on month 11 of Little Yachty keeping me in a deal just to be petty and keep me from releasing music and moving on with my life. Respect." And I'll give you a reason why later. "Guess the lying on my name, trying to turn everyone against me because I wanted out of a toxic environment wasn't enough. Yachty has only mentioned her once when she decided to come out and he was actually ranting that one night, but that's the only time he's spoken on her since. He's just tried to avoid the situation as a whole. You have a daughter and you treating women like this is mind-blowing. Like, I know you never see her, but still, that doesn't make sense how evil this man is to women, not just me." And this is where we got to look at Karrahboo like, don't do that. You cannot, and this is where Karrahboo doesn't understand the way things work. You cannot pull this whole damsel in distress, Yachty hates woman, oh, woe is me, come save me type of imagery and attitude, when that is not what you built your brand on. You built your brand on, hey, I'm kicking it with one of the boys. I'm just like, y'all, there isn't this this sexual, damsel type nature to you. And you weren't trying to get popular off of that, which is something that I do respect. So you can't pivot out of that and then now try to play that role because people don't see you like that. And I'm not using this comparison to say that Karrahboo is, dyking in any type of way. But for example, a Young M.A., because it's the best comparison we can make. If Young M.A. is talking about like, man, this guy's holding back women, this and that, people are looking at it like, yo, what? Man, get the hell out of here. We're not trying to hear that. And it's not similar for Karrahboo, but Karrahboo is so far away. Like, let's say we have a dainty, who's an example of a dainty rapper that this would work for? Let's say that's all the way on the left side of this spectrum, and then we have Young M.A. all the way on the right side of the spectrum. Karrahboo's a little bit more to the right of the middle of that, so I don't think that's gonna work. And then she continues and says, "I'm tired of y'all trying to bully me, and I'm tired of y'all de-eating this man because he is a big artist with a lot of money." He does not get a lot of de-eating, maybe in her realm because the majority of her followers came from Yachty, but I just saw tweets like a week or two ago, people quote tweeting Yachty and saying, "Yo, big respect to this man for dropping nothing but trash for 10 years and still not going broke." Like, that's not somebody getting D. He said he dropped me. I'm still signed. He said he would show y'all receipts of me owing $900K. LMAO, where they at? We still waiting. I told him to put it on his kid that he wrote all my songs. He ain't respond. That's not what we're talking about, Karrahboo. We didn't say he wrote all of your songs. He wrote your biggest freestyle. The On the Radar freestyle is one of the biggest tracks, and he said he wrote something else, or Mitch was writing something for you. So if your biggest tracks are written by him, then who cares if you write your other stuff? I'm a mean person is crazy as well. Everyone I meet has nothing but nice things to say about me. This ish annoying as F, and it's taken up a year of my life. It's evil as F. And somebody says, drop a solo album, I'll listen to that. And she says, I can't drop, bro. Yachty won't let me release music or out my deal or any label buy me out. And she says, do you need someone to raise up the money to pay to get you out? We know that's not happening. This is the thing with fans. They just randomly be making comments like this. And then if she says, yes, I need y'all to raise this, they're just looking around the room like, okay, so who's going to pay that? They're not contributing a damn thing to it. And she says, no, I barely owe anything. I can pay it right now. And other people are literally trying to pay it right now and have been this whole time. He just wants me to sit there. I don't give a F. I need to be 100 for my mental health. I've been silently taking the punches for 11 months. And somebody says, might be time to sign to Drewski label. And she says, I would have been better off on God. And they say, you paid that $900K back, you'll probably get released then. I don't even owe 10% of that, love. By the way, money is owed to me as well. What money? What money has she generated? Get the hell out of here. And how much he want? He don't want nothing. He just want me to sit there. Yo, I respect, if this is true, I like Yachty even more. All right, shout out to you, Yachty, if you're really doing this, because I think and hear me out. I think it's proportional to the love that Yachty has for the game, because he's looking at it like, I didn't even look at you as an investment. I did this out of the love. I don't need y'all to make money. I don't need y'all to benefit my career in any way. I make money a bunch of different ways. I'm probably losing money on y'all, but I have passion and I like helping people get to the next level, which Yachty does. So I'm going to do this out of love. And then when she decides to betray him, he says, oh, no, don't worry. It's not about the money. Like, yeah, maybe you do have the money to pay me off, but it's about the principle. You tried to throw dirt and smut on my name, my good name as Yachty, who's built a great reputation for himself in the industry and even amongst fans. And nobody says anything bad about Yachty as a person or in an interpersonal relationship. So he's looking at it like, you're going to sit right there in timeout and you're going to watch time go by and you're going to watch people care about you less and less because it's off the principle. I didn't come in here for money. And you giving me money is not enough to take you out. So I think it just shows how much Yachty values his reputation to do something like this. And this is a label tactic, except labels do it money-wise. When an artist gets too cocky or they want to drop or they want to get out of a deal, they're like, okay, you can sit down there for a while. An example of someone that this happened to, a couple of people that this happened to. Number one was the Migos. So the Migos were trying to transition out of 300 Entertainment into, I think it was Capitol. They went with Capitol, Motown. It was another distribution company. And QC, of course, signs the Migos. So they get stuck in this limbo period where they're not allowed to drop anything. And I don't know if it was after Culture One or it was pre-Culture One, actually. It was between YRN and Culture One. Or was it right before YRN? I don't remember the exact timeline, but this was going on. And during this time period, what did the Migos do? They managed to stay hot and didn't cool off because somebody kept leaking their music. It was Murder Beats, but Migos music kept leaking and making its rounds, and it kept them hot, and they kept doing shows, and they were performing these new tracks on these different shows and different tour stops. And then when they finally were able to drop and get out of their deal, they were still hot. The same thing happened, except worse so, for Rich Homie Quan, and that was with his song Flex. So Flex, ooh, 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 that song was a hit song, and this is after they broke up, him and Young Thug. So Flex blows up like crazy. It's a huge solo hit. Young Thug has yet to capture a solo hit. So at this point in time, transitionary period, Rich Homie Quan was more lit than Young Thug, and people were looking at it like, damn, Rich Homie Quan really surpassed Thug, and they just broke up. And at this time, I was a huge Thug supporter. I love Rich Homie Quan music too, but I'm like, damn, Thug, like, come on, man, I was on your side. As in, I thought you were the more talented act. I had never seen Rich Homie Quan live, but I had seen Young Thug, and his live performance back then was trash, so I'm not going to go ahead and compliment that. But what happened was he didn't get paid anything for Flex, so he's going through legal disputes with the record label, maybe auditing, trying to get money, and during this period of time, they're not going to let him drop. So he sits on ice for a year and a half, maybe 2 years. By the time he gets the paperwork in order, he gets his money, and he's out of the deal, he's ice cold. Nobody's even checking for him anymore. So that's potentially what could happen to Karrahboo. And then somebody says, why is this even still a thing? And she says, literally, he's dragging it, bro. I just want to move on with my life. And then somebody says, Lil Yachty owns you. And she says, I know. I don't know what it would take for Yachty to let her out of the deal, but it seems like Yachty feels a way about this girl where he says, you don't even deserve a career, and I'm going to make sure of that. And I think Yachty was about to drop her, but maybe a couple of people got into his ear and said, yo, you cannot drop this girl. You put too much money into her. I don't believe that she owes 10% of that. 10% of $900,000 or $800,000 is $80,000 to $90,000. He likely spent more than that just on transportation and clothes for this girl with everybody else, unless they're divvying it up, and her share of the 5 people is $80K, which would mean like $400K for the rest of them. That's the only way I could see it, but he spent a lot of money on this girl, and a lot of his connections too. And that's the thing I've said previously, like if she's ruined relationships or made him look poorly, this is a personal issue that they have together or between them that is not enough for it to just be a business deal. So I think if it was just business, Yachty would have probably let her out. But like I said, with the leaked music, what is stopping Karrahboo from having snippets go out, having stuff leak? Because at that point, if she drops a hard snippet or a hard track by Karrahboo leaks and it gets taken down, that's fuel for Karrahboo. She could be like, yo, Yachty just took down my song. Yachty cares a lot about his image. So Yachty's not going to come out and say like, yeah, I took down Karrahboo's song. What are y'all going to do about it? Nah, that's going to make him look terrible. He's going to look like the big bad record label that's usually scapegoated for any negative thing. And this Karrahboo could leverage on Yachty, like, yo, I'm going to keep dropping and the fans are going to keep going against you because you're not allowing me to give them what they want, which is new music for me. But she's not doing that. She's not even attempting to do that, which is why I say either she's lazy or she's scared. Like, yo, just leak the music. It is what it is. It's going to get you more attention than you just sitting there. And she's appeared on streams here and there, so she's trying to keep herself hot and do the best she can. But the best you can is what I just said. And you've got, like I said, far more leverage with the people if you're going to do something like that. And the worst case scenario is it gets taken down and she wins the battle of public opinion because nobody that's a fan wants an artist's music to get taken down. So she wins and Yachty looks evil. Best case scenario is she drops and it doesn't get taken down and she stays hot and people keep paying attention to her music and she gets feedback at the same time too, because that's something she's not getting in real time. If she's still recording, she's not getting unbiased feedback from fans. That's something she's missing out on, but she's not doing either of these things. So it leads me to believe that something else is going on or she's capping or something. I wouldn't say I necessarily am excited for this girl to win, but I would like her to have her career. I don't like to see her be stuck in this position. Granted, I don't know what she was doing behind the scenes. If she was doing something really, really grimy and disrespectful and making, let's say, my homie look bad, yeah, I'd want to park her on the side too and just let that engine die out through, I don't know, like a Minnesota storm. She comes back, tries to turn the key, tries to get the ignition turned on, and it's just not turning on. And the other record labels are like, hey, we can't do anything with this. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm going to see y'all on the next one. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Go to helloyassine.com. Thank you for watching. Peace.